Hello and welcome to UAT Time within the United Countries special by First Ukraine. You can find us on the frequencies available on our website firstuat.com. I'm Sergey Velichanskiy.
And I am Olivier Vedrine. UAT Time is dedicated to bring Ukraine and Europe closer to each other by introducing the real Ukraine to the rest of the world.
Last week, the President of Ukraine made a serious statement that if the changes of the Constitution are not made, Ukraine will enter a full-blown war with the Russian Federation.
Our guest today is Leonid Polyakov, ex-Deputy Minister of Defense and Security Expert.
Thank you. Thank you for coming again.
Good to be here with you.
Yes, it's been a little while, and some things have changed, but there are still things happening. And I want to start our discussion with this rather harsh but serious statement that the President of Ukraine made. Pretty much, we know that one of the, actually, what is it, point 11 of Minsk agreement, I think it's 11 or so, about the decentralization with the special status, that the changes need to be made in Constitution. And he now says that if the changes are not made, we are ready to we will be facing a threat or a possible war with the Russian Federation. How serious is this?
It is as serious as it was before.
Okay.
It is not so much more serious than it was before, I would say. Of course, Minsk agreement has a number of obligations, but Ukraine thinks those obligations are either bilateral, trilateral, multilateral. However, it looks like other sides mean only Ukrainian unilateral obligations. Yes. And I would not over-dramatize what the President said, because in my mind, he just reminded about the possibility of the full-blown war, but not about the predetermined kind of opportunity.
All right. Well, actually, since the time that of your last visit with UAT Time, it's true that probably not that much changed. Well, some things, some good things, at least not that serious shelling and not active warfare going on. But still, casualties happen, still shelling takes place, and pretty much 20, 30 shellings a day.
But also remember, we spoke with Peter Dickinson, the editor of Business Ukraine, about the miracle of the Ukrainian army.
That's true, but that's a view of a foreigner, an editor of a magazine here in Ukraine. What would you say? The term, you probably may have heard this term, you know, the miracle of Ukrainian army, that in 1 year, pretty much, from nothing, we developed into a modern army. I don't know if I need to use the quote-unquote yet for the modern, but...
more efficient army.
More efficient? Okay.
More efficient army.
Well, some commentators and observers prefer to choose the brighter expression, the better, just to attract attention. I don't think that the Ukrainian military was nothing militarily 2 years ago. It was disoriented, I would say. But we had people, and we still have people. And the difference is those people now are better motivated and better equipped. Certainly they are far from being really strong, modern, in modern terms, military, comparable to
NATO or whatever.
British, French, United States, Canadian, those who are fighting intensive conflicts in Afghanistan, in Iraq, for years. However, we still have critical mass of experienced officership and soldiers good enough to show certain miracles on tactical level, I would say. And yeah, maybe they did a miracle. They offered to Kremlin's regime the choice to overcome deterrence put by the current, not perfect but still capable Ukraine military. They will need to pay a cost, and this cost could be very high.
Yeah.
The longer they go further from Russian border, the higher the cost and the stronger resistance. It's just simple and clear. So at certain moment, my understanding, at Minsk 1 in September 2014, I think Putin came to conclusion that there is no good point to continue this not very wise adventure anymore. So he shifted deeper in the so-called hybrid warfare. We observed acceleration of subversive activity, sabotage inside Ukraine. We see increase in open and tacit information warfare in Ukraine and around the world. But again, by this moment, they did a lot of unwise things, but they didn't cross yet the line of quick no return. Probably they crossed the line of long-term no return.
Okay. Okay.
If I make myself clear.
Yeah.
So to cross the line of quick no return, I think this is just for them to start this full-blown kind of attack.
Yeah.
But then it will be rather short time when they will pay too big price, and not only in Ukraine but globally. And they will not sustain it even for a year, I think.
So, as far as I understand, you mean that they are sinking deeper and deeper into this enterprise, into this mess that they've created, pretty much.
Well, they started doing this for some time before.
Yeah, well.
And now they're trying to find a symmetric way yet another time. They tried it in Syria, but it was expected. They started with nuclear blackmail. It was also expected. They started harassing with flying through airspace of certain countries, provoking. Well, it was also expected. Now, recently, Patrushev, who is the Secretary of National Security Council of Russia, in his recent interview, 3 times mentioned the possibility of invasion to Baltic countries in a certain scenario.
Yes.
But it is also expected by the experts community, I would say. So even if they, well, terrorist acts also were expected by serious experts. Unfortunately, sorry, Olivier, in France, it looked like they were caught by surprise. So
and I think
for Putin, will be rather difficult to find something very, very unexpected right now.
So pretty much they're shifting from strategy to strategy.
Yep.
They're trying to figure out the best, the vulnerable spot where they can really hit.
But you know, they are doing a lot of annons. They are doing a lot of They say a lot of things, like the invasion of the Baltic state. They talk about a lot of things, even in economy, and when they say that they can save the ruble and all that. But this is only announced. They don't have they cannot, now Russia cannot go to war against the Baltic state, for example. This is impossible. Why? Because the economy of Russia is collapsing. You see the rubles. See the rubles.
You're using common wisdom. I would suggest the way they think in Kremlin is a little bit different the way we think here.
Yeah, I agree with you. But for me, you know, the problem is the people of Russia. And I like what General Smeshko said. The end of this propaganda will be when the fridge will be empty.
Yeah.
And now they believe the television, they believe the newspaper, because they have something to eat. But when the economic crisis will be more efficient, and when the fridge will be empty, then they will not believe again what Putin say on the television. And for me, this is really, in Russia, for the Russian people, you have two big topics, the television propaganda and the fridge.
Well, but Russia is big enough with extensive reserves that we may be looking at several years till really the fridge is empty. But there are some interesting things happening. The BBC has won a case against Russian TV channel Russia Today, which claimed that the corporation faked a report on Syria. That's an interesting, actually it's a quite fresh news, right?
Yep.
That the Russia Today said in their special program that the BBC has staged a chemical weapons attack for a news report and digitally altered the words spoken by an interviewee. The BBC complained to the UK regulator, Ofcom, and then Ofcom ruled against, basically said, let's see, the BBC complained to Ofcom saying the incredibly serious allegations struck at the heart of its obligations to accuracy and impartiality. But there is another thing that when pretty much it's interesting that Russia blamed BBC, then Ofcom started investigation, and they came across another program of Russia Today, and it has to do with us, with Ukraine. The episode, titled Genocide of Eastern Ukraine, contained claims that the Ukrainian government was deliberately bombing civilians in the east of Ukraine and had murdered and tortured journalists and carried out other acts such as crucifying babies. Ukrainian army forces were accused of ethnic cleansing and were compared to the Nazis in World War II. The program had, as the Ofcom said, little or no counterbalance or objectivity, which pretty much, to translate, means that they said that the program was a lie. That's informational warfare.
Yeah, this is one of the major instruments for Russian current regime to achieve their goals in Ukraine as well.
Yeah.
Because dealing with Ukraine, one of the targets is a Western audience. Ukraine alone will have a lot of difficulties to deter Russia, but the Ukrainian strength is support from democratic Europe and North America, and they do their best. They invest billions of dollars into Russia Today, Sputnik, and other channels just to proliferate this lie, this propaganda. I wonder what they are saying about recent conclusion of the British judge on Putin, Litvinenko, and other
Yes,
affairs.
and I want to talk about that because this is a parallelism. At the same time, we can see now this problem with BBC and RT, and at the same time we have the Litvinenko case.
Yeah.
And you can see now in a lot of newspapers, USA, Europe, even in France, that now we think officially that Litvinenko was killed by Putin direct order. And that's a big news, big fact, and for me, in this war of communication, this is a news tape. That's mean now Europe is going to face with USA more efficiently the war in communication. And now you can see in a lot of newspapers, they are talking about Putin as a murderer. And that's a new fact.
Yeah.
Very interesting, because now with Litvinenko case, they are talking about also Nemtsov. They are talking about other political...
Politkovskaya and...
yes, about these journalists of, also, you know.
Yes.
And this, for me, really, I have two questions. Why we are now assisting in that? Why now we can attack Putin in some newspaper? Maybe, for me, maybe in Russia, even in Russia, they give the permission to attack Putin in some foreign newspaper. Maybe they want to change Putin. You know, when we talk with Ilya Ponomarev said to us, you know, now the elite in Russia they are losing a lot of money, and they are thinking maybe to change the system. And maybe some elite give the permission to the West to attack in newspaper Putin. What do you think about that?
Well, of course, for Putin, times become more and more difficult because this theory of manageable chaos is not working anymore.
Yeah.
Now they are losing control over this artificially created chaos in different instruments or different directions and areas where they try to put their agenda on actually democratic world, to pretend that this Russian world, and in fact this is kind of a Russian prison without normal democracy, normal economy, normal human rights, can somehow win the war with normal democracy. And they are losing, basically. And whether we take this Litvinenko murder case, when there are clear evidence which in very direct way point that the instrument of murder was so exclusive, if you will, that only the top leadership in Russia could have allowed to use it. Just impossible to imagine that they somehow received it in a different way, not by permission.
Grocery store.
As far as the elite is concerned, of course, they have certain fear still of the regime prosecution, but at the same time, they are not so blind and not so pressured just to link their fate to the fate or to the destiny of this personality Putin. And Ilya Ponomarev, I heard once hinted that these overall sanctions which hit the fridge will probably work much longer than targeted personality sanctions against Russian elite.
But okay, on the other way, are we assisting now in a change in the Russian elite? And because all this information, we can see some attack direct to Putin, and maybe we are assisting in some change. But I have another question. Putin is wounded, and because of the psychology of Putin, do you think that Putin wounded can be more aggressive than the Putin before?
I think yes, he can be, but his instrument of aggressiveness is security sector of Russia. Mm-hmm. So when we are talking about elite, we should understand that the real change can be brought not by the people on the street at the moment, and not by the oligarchs or money elite. Only security services elite can bring a quick change. How to influence this elite, which is still getting a lot of pie from Putin, and still, how to put it, keeps a lot of trust in Putin's leadership. I don't have clear vision yet, but I hope there are some wise people who can find a way.
And I think some wise are thinking about this, and
I hope too.
We hope on that. Let's come back to Ukraine, and we have a few minutes left, but real quick questions. I came across information that there is a plan that, along with the implementation of Minsk agreements, where we need to secure, Ukraine needs to secure the borders and all those things. There are talks that perhaps there will be a condition that the border guards on that little territory between Ukraine and Russia, where the militants are, will need to be selected from the militants' soldiers. Have you heard anything about that? I thought that's kind of tricky.
I heard about this scenario.
In order to
pretend that we have certain delivery.
Yes.
Let's call them Ukrainian border guards.
Even under Ukrainian flags, but still.
But personalities will be chosen from among the separatists.
Yes.
I think this fake will not work.
Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. Okay. Any news on the volunteer battalions? We know that they're the ones that really stood together and protected the country in the early stages. What is happening with them? There's some different issues going on.
I think at the moment we are at certain kind of a plateau stage, because we had transitional period from rather uncontrolled the process of their creation, engagement into the fighting, and then supporting our troops on the line of separation, then transformation into different detachments, mostly in the Ministry of Interior and National Guard under Ministry of Interior, a little bit under the Ministry of Defense, and somewhat under Security Service. And at the moment, rather rarely, we hear some news, but strangely, these news are coming more from outside Ukraine. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I think there are some forces which want, well, not only outside, but mostly at this moment outside, which want to keep this topic, if not burning, but smoking. Okay. Mm-hmm. And those forces are not always friendly to Ukraine.
Okay. I think this is some influence, Russian influence. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And one minute left. What is your forecast for future developments, like near future?
Near and mid-time future will mostly depend on the success of Ukrainian internal progress in the political field. I mean, how coalition of the parliament will work, how major political forces will work in between, and how they find some deliveries to population. If they manage to find or to show some progress, if they manage to develop better communication between each other and between power and population, we will be fine. Because at this moment, Putin and his services, FSB, foreign intelligence and others, they target mostly our information space, our political class, our economy, because militarily, as I mentioned, probably they understand
They will lose.
they will lose sooner or later, just a matter of time.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. Yes, it was United Country UAT time by First Ukraine. Our guest was Leonid Polyakov, ex-Deputy Minister of Defense and Security expert.
Olivier Vedrine and Sergey Velichanskiy were working for you in the studio. Stay with us and we will show to you the real crane.
Thank you for being with us. Have a good day and see you soon.